That's nothing. Okay. So, you all know about the Women's Business Social and what it's been doing here in town. I have been amazed at what comes out and what I've been learning about networking from doing these socials. So that's where this came from today, is my learning as well as what I'm observing and how I'm sharing this in different communities, because finding there is this new model of networking, and there was an old school model that we can talk about, but this new one is really about community and relationships and connecting, and people want things to be vibrant and alive, and it's really an extension of their life out in the world. I don't know if any of you have seen this before, but the first time I heard a presenter talk about the arrow in the FedEx logo, um, I was kind of puzzled. And he kept talking about how this is about our mindset and what we see in the world. And I kept looking and looking, and I didn't see it. And you got to know, FedEx is everywhere, right? I mean, we use the FedEx envelopes and boxes. I see the FedEx trucks everywhere. So, I mean, it's something that I'm familiar with, but at the same time, I couldn't see it. And yet, I'll give you a little hint or a little help if you couldn't see it either. It's right there, and it's always been right there. And what's so wild is, like, if I take that off, you can't not see it now, right? Like, you can never look at the FedEx logo the same again. And I think this mindset goes when we talk about other things, and not just logos, but how we look at our meetings, our work meetings, or our networking events, or our email inbox, or mundane things that we don't tend to look forward to. And if we can change the mindset and say, okay, well, this meeting, I am going to find the reason why I'm here. I'm going to find an ally in this group. Or networking events is I am going to find the person that's going to help me with this new situation. Or changing the mindset and being able to, it's like looking for the arrow. Instead of looking for the problems or the troubles, looking for the solutions and the support that's available to us. And, in talking about the socials, there's these words that keep coming up, and it's initiative and confidence and risk. And I think what took me so long was I was waiting for somebody to give me permission to do those things. And, it seems funny now when I look back, but they're not something that someone can give you or grant you. It really is about personal initiative and taking that, and then earning the confidence. It's not something that's given, and taking small risks. When I started the Women's Business Social, that was back in February of 2009, this is what it looked like. It wasn't always this huge, giant pack of women. It started off with 13 of us. And my invitation to these women was, let's come together and see what happens. And looking back, I was not especially confident, number one, that anybody would show up, or number two, that anything would happen. But that hasn't been the case. They are showing up continually. They're starting to show up in other communities, starting to spread this to New York and London and other places where I go. And what I find is it has this momentum, and I couldn't have seen what it has brought me when I first started. And I think that's important with networking, that we shouldn't shoot just for what we need in this moment, but building networks that are going to support us in all areas of our life and work along the way. So I said I would share some of the information that I found from the surveys, and this was the first question: who's been to a social? So 75% of the people said yes, and that I had 82 people fill out the survey, so it was 61 people said yes, they had attended, and a few hadn't. So that's really interesting that there's this network of people that have never actually experienced the in-person event, and yet they feel connected to the community. They get the newsletters, they share online, they have this other connection to it. And I thought that was unexpected information, so I was really glad to see that. And then I've just been delighted to see what's come up. We've been published, we've had people donate services to the social, samples. We've had, an insight into town and places that you can't normally get into, and to private homes and things. And it looks like a party, and it is. And I think that's what networking is really about, is hanging out with people that you enjoy. And it's not drudgery anymore, or at least it doesn't have to be. And people are starting to connect on this much more intimate and personal and joyful level. So that's made me tremendously happy. And I'm looking to train other people and to bring this into other, corporate environments where that isn't as widely accepted. We're very fortunate here in Ojai that, it's not a traditional corporate workplace environment, and that has its benefits and its drawbacks, but there is something about people coming together for work and business that's very powerful, and it transcends. And that's why, I wanted to do the social in New York City, is to see if they resonate with it. And so that's been a big challenge and goal of mine, to see how it works. And it's really fascinating to see how that's happening. And one of the things I've been learning, and it seems obvious, but it's the people do business with people they trust, and people trust people they know. And you get to know people by meeting them often and seeing them regularly. So that's why I think the socials, in their monthly format have been so powerful. And I noticed that about 30% of the people come almost every time, but then there's this big audience that kind of check in and out, or, come every 2 or 3 times. And then it's this huge network of people who are new to the community, who have just started working again, or have just moved to the town, and they're looking to just meet people in general and find out who the resources are. And I think that comes from building a network of trusted people. The old model is about who knows you and who do you know. And this new model is more about what are you known for. And this other one of who knows who within your network is really amazing. Just this morning, Jason got a Twitter direct message from a business writer on the East Coast. And he said to Jason, "Hey, I heard you rock the house with your training seminar for this company in New York City." And that was really nice news to hear. But what was so interesting about it was we had no idea that these two individuals knew each other. And I think social media sites and social networking sites are closing the gap on who knows who and how do they know each other, because they'll show you those networks. When you friend somebody on Facebook or connect to somebody on LinkedIn, it will show you who else you have in common and how many steps away from knowing them that you are. So it's really interesting information, and when you know how to use it and what, start asking for things, we found that it really speeds up the business cycles that we've been doing, just hoping.